I did that once. Oh, okay. It looks like it started. Yep, I think I'm live.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if I get a notification, because I should get a notification start. But I don't see anything yet. Oh, yep. You're on.
All right. It looks like we had having some difficulties. So
yeah, you're live now.
If you can hear me.
I'm going to hop on video.
Well, I'm not quite sure if you can hear me or not, but we had a little bit of difficulty getting the video started. And so just let me know that you can hear me. All good now? Okay, great. Well, welcome. This is Tustin Longevity Center for the TLC Health Freedom Tribe. And we meet every Monday at 6 o'clock to discuss questions you might have regarding any kind of health concern. We are a holistic, integrative, complementary, standard medical group of 5 physicians, and we want to try and create as many avenues to help our patients to have a means to ask their questions, talk about things. This is not meant to be medical advice. This is meant to be general questions, general advice, general trends and things to do. If you are a patient of mine, don't ask me a specific thing about your case. I can't do that on this kind of a protocol. Call the office in the morning and give your question there, 714-544-1521. This is December 13th, Monday of 2021. So I am going to start looking at some of these questions here and starting to go through them. So it's good to see the TLC Health Freedom Tribe. That's the name that Sean gave us. And we're going to start this evening with Debbie. Debbie says, hi, Dr. Rita, and I say hi back to Debbie. Is a routine colonoscopy needed at age 60? As many doctors want you to get one. Many thanks. The standard of care is to recommend a colonoscopy because it's one of the, maybe the 5th or 4th leading cause of cancer in the United States. And lately, I've seen some articles that have previously said you should be 50 years old when you get your colonoscopy. For many years, they said 50. But lately, these articles are suggesting age 45 should be your first colonoscopy. So it doesn't surprise me with so much of the genetically modified, high-carb, insulin-stimulating, growth-promoting things that we're eating. And there's so much of an immune stress to the wide variety of foods and spices we consume in multiple meals throughout the day, day after day. So when you add the sugar, the lack of water, inactivity, stress, you add all the stressing ingredients, spices, variety. It's a lot of work for that colon to take care of, and it can get inflamed, get all sorts of bowel inflammatory disorders, irritable bowel, inflammatory bowel disorders, colitis, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. And then we start seeing the cancers emerge from this chronic irritation, inflammation. And then this is just an adaptive way for the body to try and heal. But if it doesn't get a break, it will then turn into a neoplasm. So 50 is the old standard for colonoscopy. Lately, I'm seeing articles recommending 45. So Debbie, I would get at least one. If you're already 60, you're already overdue. And then once the gastroenterologist sees what you look like, some people, if they have a very clean colon, they get up to about a 10-year to follow up. That was what they said to me, 10 years, because I had a perfectly clear colon when I did it. And so I haven't hit that 10-year mark yet. There is, if they find something, they might say 5-year follow-up. If they see a polyp or a growth, they might say a 3-year follow-up, 3-year follow-up. So it depends on what they see. It depends on your family history. If you have brothers, sisters, mother, father with a incidence of colon cancer, colorectal cancer, then you definitely should have a colonoscopy, and you should do this by age 45. There is actually a familial polyposis, which is many, many hundreds of polyps in the colon, and that's associated with poor prognosis. And so if a family member has that, no matter if you're in your 20s or 30s, you probably should see a gastroenterologist and see if you should do a colonoscopy even sooner. So that's kind of the lowdown on colonoscopy. And we'll go to the next question, which is also from Debbie. I hear it is bad to eat blackened or charred chicken or fish. Is this true? The answer is yes, most likely. When the cooking gets so hot, glycators, that's the heat makes the sugar absolutely grab on to the protein, and it makes like a sugary crust. That's why it tastes good to have it blackened. If you have seen a creme brulee where they burn the top of the creme brulee, that's actually creating a glycation. We have no enzymatic means of disengaging fruit sugars that is glycated to us. And so by eating that, it is a irritant to the body and potentially associated with cancers. But the same is true. You have to understand, Debbie, if you don't know how much high fructose corn syrup, how much fruit sugars in your juicings, in your candies, in your cakes, in your icings, the sugar in your coffee, because remember, sugar is a disaccharide. One molecule is glucose, the other molecule is fructose. And glycation of fructose can happen without a fire of a flame from a barbecue. It happens inside of us. And I measure that on my patients with a lab test called fructosamine. And that fructosamine level tells me how much fructose is irreversibly attached to your proteins in your body. This is horrible because there's no way for our enzymatic systems to get rid of it. It just has to go through a life cycle of turning over of tissues and stuff. It takes years to reduce the fruit sugar sticking to your cell membranes and proteins. As opposed to glucose, if you stop eating for 1 day and you fast, immediately glucose that is glycated, okay, hemoglobin A1C, it'll immediately start coming off if you start eating or fasting and eating a low carb lifestyle. So fructose is especially dangerous, and blackening or charring your foods is not a good thing. So there you go. The next question is Amila. Hi, Amila. What is an optimal heart rate for a 70-year-old? It depends on so many things, Amila. For instance, my husband is at that age, and he's a very healthy, active man. He is exercising. He was a runner. He's done marathons. He's currently kayaking, and he doesn't smoke, and he tries to eat very well and drink his water and take his supplements. So in a person who is exercising like this all the time with no significant medical problem, you could have what we call an athletic heart rate. So his heart rate could actually be under 60. So he could have a 54 resting heart rate. He could have a 52. And this would not be unusual because he's such an athletic man. Now, if you're 70 years old and you're overweight and you don't drink enough water and you don't exercise hardly at all, then your resting heart rate, if you have other medical problems, will probably be higher. And we often see that with older people with higher heart rates with multiple medical problems, overweight, inactive, dehydrated. I would say they could be 88, 94. Basically, the range is between 60 and 100 is considered acceptable. But I certainly look at that when I'm looking at my patient coming in, if they weren't rushing in, if they aren't all upset about something, and I see their heart rate is like 98, and if they're not on certain medications, then I would ask them, are you really exercising? Are you really trying to drink enough water? Things like that. So it's hard to say, Amila, what is an optimal heart rate for a 70-year-old? I would say between 60 and 100, but preferably be at a good weight, drink your water, and exercise if they're able to do it. Eat low carb, eat your protein and your healthy fats, get a good night's sleep, and don't eat late at night. And then I would say it would be better to have a heart rate of about 70. Amila also asks, I have a family member who might have hyperthyroidism. How is hyperthyroidism diagnosed and treated? Well, the symptoms of hyperthyroidism are usually too much energy and a resting heart rate that's too fast. Just at rest, your heart rate is always running above 100. Diarrhea is associated with it. Anxiety and tremulousness are associated with it. Skipped beats, palpitations. This can come from a attack on the thyroid, an autoimmune attack. It's called Hashimoto's thyroiditis. That's usually gut related from the immune system cross-reacting with the irritation in the gut, and it's similar to protein signals that are in the cells of the matrix of the thyroid, and then it starts attacking it, and then it gets inflamed. So you get a thyroiditis, just like you're getting a myocarditis with some, injections of gene therapies. They call it a vaccine. And so these are usually, the patient will come to the doctor or the urgent care or emergency room with these complaints, and then a thyroid test is done. And we'll see the actual thyroid hormones, free T3, mostly the free T3 is elevated. Free T4 may or may not be elevated. And the TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone signal from the brain to the thyroid, is extremely low without them being on any thyroid medication. If you are on thyroid medication, we would expect the TSH to be low because you're being managed with thyroid. So I take a thyroid myself, so my TSH is low, and so I'm not concerned about it. I don't have any of the symptoms. When I do my blood work, I check my free T3, and that will show a certain range. Now, I have a more tolerant range than the standard on the labs range that usually show up. And if it is very significant, sometimes you have to be hospitalized for this. There are certain medicines that are given to block thyroid stimulation, and various forms can be given. And then an investigation will start as to why you have the hyperthyroidism. But in general, the common, there's an old saying in medicine, if you hear clop, 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 you think you're of a horse. Whenever you hear that clop, 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 everyone thinks of a horse. You do not think of a zebra, although a zebra walking by would go clop, clop also. So the most common things are the things you should look at. Not that you don't ever think of a zebra, but most everything falls into the common categories. And I find food allergies, injury to this gastrointestinal system, the tube, it's only one cell membrane thick. you irritate that, you start getting gas, bloating, intermittent loose stools, firm stools, constipation, fatigue, then you can get an expression of attack to the thyroid as a thyroiditis. You can get an expression as psoriasis, a rash all over your skin. You can get neurological symptoms like multiple sclerosis as an attack to the neural sheath lining of the nerves. You can get attack to the cartilage in your joints, rheumatoid arthritis, and so on. So all these itises are self-autoimmune destruction. And it's just, in my opinion, largely triggered by the American SAD diet. So we work here to try and turn that diet around. We start people on gut healing protocols, and around very often they do quite well. So hopefully that helps you. Let's see. Colleen has asked the question, since I have had COVID, should I still take ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine? So in a preventative means, yes, it is theoretically possible to get COVID again, although very unlikely, very unlikely. If you have a natural, again, although very unlikely, very unlikely. If you have a natural immunity to what you were told was a COVID viral incident, it's most unlikely, and the data is showing in the research that the immune system in a virgin person who's never been vaccinated had COVID, they have a robust, a good, durable, long-lasting immunity. And you can check with your antibody test with your local doctor. You could, if you have serious concerns about exposure, you could take hydroxychloroquine or ivermectin preventatively, and there are protocols for that. Do you have to? I don't, and I have COVID antibodies, and I don't recall having ever had COVID, but as a doctor, I've probably seen everything over 40 years. So my antibodies are robust. I'm not taking ivermectin. I'm not taking hydroxychloroquine. I do have them available should I need them, but I don't think I'm ever going to get sick. So hopefully that comforts you and gives you great confidence, Colleen. Amila asks also, thank you for recommending Vascuzyme. My back injury is healing nicely. I have been doing a 20-hour fast for the past week and feel better each day. Absolutely. Fasting and water and enzymes and stretching are indeed very, very important motives to heal. And the vast majority of all back injuries are self-limiting. And these things, if you don't eat a lot of food, then all your body is working and stimulating growth hormone to repair the muscles, the tissues, things like that. So I'm very happy to hear that, Amila. Dorothy asks, what is the best way to fuel your body after exercise or a good workout? Well, I don't know that you need to eat late in the evening. So if you work out, if you do a workout, let's say at 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock, I wouldn't eat anything because it is wrong to put food in your body when you want to go to bed and heal. If you're waking up in the morning and you're exercising anytime from 5 in the morning until 3 or 4 in the afternoon, then I would definitely say emphasize a protein, healthy, fat-rich food. Why? Because the tissues that you hope to repair when you did that workout, you have tiny microfibril or microscopic injuries in the muscle. Those little injuries have communication mechanisms designed for repair and rebuilding. So I would definitely emphasize protein and fat. Now, Dr. Minkinoff came up with a amino acid supplement. It's called Perfect Aminos, and it comes as a tablet or it comes as a powder. And he recommends taking this, especially after age 50. Some even have gone as low as saying after age 40. We start losing muscle mass, a slight percentage every year of our life, and it gets worse after you're 55 or so. So the exercise is critical, and taking the protein amino acids with healthy fats is very critical, because that's what cell membranes are made of. And that's what I would do. If you want to, you could supplement with a well-researched nutrient called Perfect Aminos. All right, let's see. Rest off. I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right. Forgive me. Says, hi, Dr. Rita. Does a person with endothelial dysfunction and high cholesterol be off a fatty carnivore diet? What are the best foods to eat? Does a person with endothelial dysfunction and high cholesterol, should they be off a fatty diet? Well, remember, every cell in your body, including the endothelial lining of the blood vessels, those cells that make up the inside lining of your blood vessels, are made of protein, just like your skin, your brain, your intestine, your heart. Everything's made of protein and fat. Remember, I keep on showing you my my picture here. And every cell is a double layer of phospholipids and protein receptors. And when they're injured from any source, you have to get proteins and fats back in there. So if you're asking if you have endothelial dysfunction and high cholesterol, the reason why you have high cholesterol is because anytime you injure a cell like that, those tiny fragments signal to the body, and your liver especially, to produce cholesterol, because you have to have cholesterol, the fat, you have fat and protein to repair the cells. Now, yes, it's complex. If you have heart disease, angina, damage from a gene therapy shot that they call a vaccine, and the lining is injured, we have to be looking at many things. But never, never, never is cholesterol in your diet the problem. It's always the sugar. It's always the fructose that creates a insulin surge that can make the lining of the blood vessel, the intima, thick and too thick rather than being nice and thin. So no, Olaf, Rest, you really have to, I would go and watch the YouTube videos that are, one is called, what's the name of that man? His name is Ivor Kumin. First name is Ivor, I-V-O-R. Last name is Kumin, C-U-M-M-I-N. Ivor Kumin. Now, he's an Irish researcher, and he has a whole series on repairing endothelium, the cell membranes, and cholesterol. So if you go on YouTube and you put in Ivor Kumin and the word cholesterol, you'll see everything and all the research backed up on this. So hopefully that'll be a help to you. Dorothy also says, what is the best magnesium to take? A magnesium that is combined with an amino acid, we call them a chelate. So you chelate it with like glycine or citrate or sulfate. So you putting them with these amino acids enhances their absorption. There's a whole industry and research on mineral absorption. And very often cheap vitamins are just oxides, and they really don't get absorbed. But if you go find out if that mineral is made by Albion, Albeon, Albion. That's the company that really does all the high quality mineral supplement replacement for high quality repair. So that's what you need, Dorothy. Hopefully that helps you. Let's see. What do we have here? The next question is Linda. Okay. Linda says, I have a 42-year-old son who is in an industry where he is shaving and sawing down concrete. I am concerned about the particles getting into his lungs. Any suggestions on vitamins and protocol? Well, I would assume that they would require him to have a respirator or some kind of a mask for these particles because they're huge. Remember the mask, those surgical masks, the common ones, they have a particle diameter of probably 60 microns. And viruses like the one SARS-CoV-2, that is considered to have a diameter of about 6 to 10 microns. So it's not good. It won't prevent viruses, but particles of dust and that sawing and stuff are way above that, so it should be greatly benefited. Now, drinking enough water, and of course not smoking, and of course being low carb, because if you have the ciliary action, the lungs are trying to, through the bronchi and stuff, through ciliary action, bring up the debris, and that's why God gives us mucus and everything, so we can clear this out. But if you don't drink enough water, if you eat a sticky diet high in starch and fruit sugar and carbohydrates, if you are inflamed already with your lifestyle, smoking, inactive, dehydrated, that is much more concerning. And so emphasize water, emphasize enzymes so nothing is sticky, and emphasize low carb, and make sure he wears a mask and that it has a good seal, and then go from there. And hopefully that will help him, Linda. And, you know, that's the direction I would go. All right. SM says, thank you for your time, Dr. Rita. What are your thoughts on the vaccine Comirnaty? What are my thoughts? Well, it's not available. Comirnaty is not available. We are still under emergency use authorization. So Pfizer is still an EUA injectable gene therapy. You know, what do I think of Comirnaty? Nothing. Where's the data on it? There isn't any because it isn't available. It hasn't been used. It is a new type of therapy. You know, they changed the definition of a vaccine. You know, I'm practicing 40 years. Vaccines were always supposed to give you immunity to prevent disease, therefore illness and consequences, morbidity and death. You know, like the, other prior vaccines, pertussis, diphtheria, tetanus toxins, those kind of vaccines. That was what we grew up with and trained with, preventing disease. So it gave you immunity. But they changed the definition recently. So that's kind of interesting. And that recent definition says that vaccines now produce a immune response. Well, whoopee-ding if it gets an immune response, but you're still transmitting the disease, You can catch the disease. You can suffer morbidity and potential mortality. I find it very corrupting to change definitions. So it's not available. Comirnaty is not available. We are still under emergency use authorization, and it's not a vaccine. It's just not a vaccine. It's a gene therapy. The founder of, or really the father of mRNA technology for this was Robert Malone, and he's published, on this, the father of this kind of therapy, and he does not call it anything other than gene therapy. So why should I let some other person who isn't a specialist and the creator of it change the definition? So there you have it. As Amila says, when would be the peak of T3 in thyroid medication if taken at 7 a.m. daily? Well, if you take your thyroid replacement medicine at 7, I would say about within an hour, hour and a half, and then all day long it'll come down. So it's kind of like a seesaw like that. So that's about when that would happen. Ophi Rest says, Dr. Rita, should I be concerned about chest pain due to endothelial dysfunction? What can I take? Well, if that's the case and I don't know who you are, then I would have you go to an emergency room or an urgent care and address that immediately. I don't know your age, I don't know your situation, and I don't know whether you've received the gene therapy injectable. So that could be creating inflammation, and that could be associated with some concerning outcomes. So yes, you should be concerned about chest pain due to endothelial dysfunction. And what can I take? Well, the first advice is go see a doctor. Even if you're having that pain now, leave, stop the video, go to urgent care, go to the emergency room. What we do to help keep our blood vessels healthy is drink water. That's the #1 anti-inflammatory medicine is water. I'll take my little lid off here. Take a sip. Drink half your weight as ounces every day of your life. Exercise. Take a walk. That is a hydraulic pump. Take enzymes, because as you age, your enzymes enzymes are like soap suds in a way. They help clean away old random, I feel like this in the morning and snack on that, and this at lunch and snack on this, and this at dinner and snack at night. There's way too much immunologic, and this at dinner and snack at night. There's way too much immunological data coming at your immune system, lining your gut, wearing it out, injuring it. I've had patients who succumbed to it looks on the timing